Hello everyone, welcome to today's first leftover episode. I have been wanting to challenge myself to repurpose, reuse, or whatever, anything in terms of leftovers. I am so embarrassed to say that we waste so much leftovers, whether that is just food that has not been cooked or used because it looks ugly, or the mere fact that we have ingredients lying in our fridge and pantries that have not been used for so many years. I want to challenge ourselves. We're in an economy where we need to learn more about our food. Now today I really want to start off with something really straightforward and simple. I'm going to be making Chinese leaf cabbage kimchi. Not Napa cabbage, but Chinese leaf. It's a completely different vegetable, but I've been interested in the process of kimchi, so let's crack on. So the leftover ingredients for today is an open old bottle of chili flakes or gochugaru flakes. We've got some spring onions, ginger, daikon, an old glutinous rice bag, and a Chinese leaf cabbage rather than Napa cabbage. Now there are some ingredients I left out in the video, but they're the basic sort of carrots, sugar and salt, and fish sauce. There are so many ingredients I'm missing out here because I actually don't have any in my pantry. I began by cracking open the cabbage. Apparently tearing it is a really good technique. I'm not really sure why, but I found it super satisfying to do. I decided to leave it into 4 quarters. I didn't break it down into chunks, which I later on wish I did, but there's something satisfying when you put on the kimchi paste leaf by leaf, and as you'll see later, I thoroughly enjoyed the process. So I'm a complete rookie in making kimchi. Let's be honest, I'm not gonna confess that I know or I've done this before. However, what I have seen on YouTube or my little basic research I did do was that it seemed quite straightforward. Now, I might be wrong. I might be right, who knows. I started by brining the cabbage first. Now, I went with a concoction of half sugar and half salt, but who knows, correct me in the comments down below if I'm wrong. And of course, all the ingredient measurements are down below for you guys to try this leftover recipe. So the brine process was quite interesting. It actually didn't take that long until the leaf softened. What I did find was when I did try the leaf, which you should do, it was extremely salty. I think more salty than I had imagined because I did use brown sugar, which actually doesn't dissolve that easily. But anyway, you're going to use the same technique for your daikon and your carrots. Slice them into thin matchsticks and then brine them together for the same consistency. Mince your garlic and your onion and ginger together before moving on to your rice paste. Combine 2 tablespoons of the glutinous rice flour with 1.5 cups of water. Heat that up gently on a medium heat until it becomes a gluey, goopy paste. That's what you want. Once that's done, we're going to combine the 3 ingredients together. The minced garlic and ginger and onions with the rice paste and the chili flakes. Now add as much chili flakes as you can handle. I went with 1.5 cups because I know I can't really handle the spice. Now add 4 tablespoons of fish sauce. I prefer it on a little bit more of a salty side, and the fish sauce brings that umami taste. Now, I've read up that there are so many other ingredients you can add during this process. So if you do have salted shrimps or fermented shrimps, you can also add other things like chives and any other herbs that you prefer into your kimchi. But however, I don't have any. I'm just using what I have in my fridge and pantry. Okay, we're almost coming up to my favourite part of this recipe. So before that, add in any ingredients that you would like in your kimchi. In my case, I only had spring onions in my fridge. So I'm using up some old spring onions that I have. Chop and tail, cut it into inches and then throw it in. You can also work with chives or any other herbs that you think it might go into your kimchi. Worth a try at this current moment. Just throw in your leftovers is the whole point. Now add in your brine, daikon and carrots. They should be softened to a perfect consistency. And what you're going to do is going to mix that in. Okay, so this part kind of feels counterintuitive because you might as well mix in the cabbage. But depending on your preference, I really wanted to do this specific process. So give it a taster, make sure that it's seasoned to your taste. I added a little bit more salt and sugar into this just so that it was to my taste. But in this case, if you prefer adding other ingredients like a Korean sweetener or some salt or some more fish sauce, this is up to you. Okay, I thought this was going to be spicier in my hands than it is. So Not so bad after all. Might have to go back and reinforce that. Okay, I completely understand playing with your food is probably not the correct etiquette, but there is something to be said with actually having a connection with your food. And this is genuinely was my favorite part of making kimchi, was applying the paste onto the cabbage, you know, actually thoroughly, I guess, putting in the love into your food. This is my favorite part because it was just showing the transition from a pale cabbage to something that could be kimchi. At this current moment, I had no idea what it would turn out to be. Okay, so once you apply the paste, like sunscreen, place it into a really clean Tupperware, or if you have a fermenting box, that also works. My advice is, just from my experience, is to put it into a cool place, especially at the beginning of making any kimchi. I think if it's in a warm area, it might go off very quickly. But I went off an experience of like the temperature in my garage was around about 3 to 5 degrees, so it's quite low temperature. At first it didn't look like the kimchi paste covered that much, even though I put so much on it, but I think eventually when it did ferment and the vegetable broke down, it started to look a lot more like kimchi rather than a weird saute of vegetables. In true Caitlin's fashion, of course we had leftover from a leftover video, so look forward to the next video where we'll be using the leftover Korean paste. Well, let's try my leftover kimchi. It's in this current box. It's been fermenting for, I want to say 5 days in my garage. The temperature has been around about 5 degrees, a little bit lower at night obviously, but it's been the perfect temperature to ferment kimchi. And then I put it into the fridge on the 5th day. Now if it's warmer, obviously I would suggest like putting it into the fridge after the first night, but if you're lucky and you're still in the winter, you can still get away with leaving in your cold or cool area for a little bit longer. Now this has been sitting out there for quite a long time. I'm trying to grab a piece for you that's not too big. Oh my god, I can't explain to you how good this looks. I'm just gonna flip the camera around. It's so good. So it's been sitting in this box the whole time. I haven't really been disturbing it all that much. I'm just, you know. In terms of moving it around or doing anything with it, all I've been doing is constantly pushing a spoon against it to submerge it, because I don't have one of those like lids that you can press it down and it still works. Other way of doing it is putting cling film on top and then putting a heavy dish on top like a plate. That would work too. Oh my god. It's still crunchy. Look, this is a carrot from it. It's still really crunchy. That's fermented really well. Try not to double dip like I did. It'll last much longer. I'm going to give the family the go ahead to have this now, because I'm warning them to ward off of it for such a long time now. And I'm pretty sure they're sick of it, and also they all love kimchi, so that's perfect. You can have it with your, like, as a banchan, so a side dish, or have it with your, like, main meal, where you put it into the noodles you're having with it, or whatever meal you're having with it. I'm actually quite excited for the series that I'm making with the leftover ingredients, because I don't think we all realise how much leftover ingredients we have in our fridge, and it's just like the perfect thing you can make. Most of my stuff are mostly or closely out of date, so please don't waste your food. Look forward to the next episode where I'm using leftover kimchi paste to make kimchi cucumber.